Triple E EDC back again with another knife video. These are all Paramilitary 2s, and I'm pumped to be able to bring you this video comparing and contrasting a couple different blade shapes here. First of all, these are 3 of the 4 existing blade shapes for the Paramilitary 2. The 4th is the Saber Ground Emerson Wave version from Blade Ops, and I have not had that one. I have had the Endura from the Emerson Wave version of the Endura before, and so I had experience with the Emerson Wave Ground Spydercos, or Saber Ground Spydercos, and I have an idea of how they cut. I imagine it'll cut somewhat similar to this, maybe a little less good as the Tanto. We're going to find out because I'm going to do some cutting here, and we're going to see what cuts the best. And we're also going to talk about what's best for EDC and different types of tasks. Next, I just want to thank Mark Goldstein for allowing the channel to borrow this. I really appreciate you, Mark. You're one of the main reasons that I can do a lot of the videos I do with all the knives you lend. And also, you know, if anyone else wants to lend, it's not a requirement, but very, very much appreciated. Because this is a loaner, I am not going to change the clip here, but Mark did allow me to use this for cut testing. So I'm going to be doing some of that here. So again, this is the Blade HQ exclusive M4 and JG10. This is the Cutlery Shop exclusive in S30V and Black G10. Now, I imagine this will come out in different blade steels and scale combinations. Most notably, probably the Cutlery Shop Orange G10 scales with the XHP steel in both DLC and satin. This originally came out in the DLC and satin S30V versions. There also may be a black bladed one of these as well with DLC in S30V. So those are probably in the works, just because I know generally that's how Spyderco works and a lot of the exclusive retailers work. This is a not stock Paramilitary 2. This is a DLT exclusive Cru-Wear in purple G10 scales. The scales have been replaced with the titanium sort of milled scales from Rip's Garage Tech, and these two are sporting Lynch clips. So those are the modifications on these knives. I will also note that I have the Para 3 and Maximate here. Why do I have the Para 3 and Maximate here? Well, one reason is because I want to give some apples to apples, and so I have a DLC coated and non-DLC coated blade. These are pretty much going to cut the same, even though they're different sizes. So I figured, you know, I can have this as a backup cut tester as well. This is a Maximate version with rock scale design scales and a Lynch clip. Next thing, the Para 3 will also probably get these blade treatments by these retailers at some point. So they've already had this treatment with the purple and Cru-Wear, but as far as Tanto, we haven't seen a Para 3 Tanto yet, and we haven't seen a Para 3 Wharncliffe yet, so I assume those are coming. All right, let's go ahead and talk about these blades, what makes them different, and then we'll do some cut testing and talk about which one I like the best. Now, I will say, just as a bias thing, I am partial to Wharncliffes, and drop points are probably right up with Wharncliffes as being one of my favorite blade styles. I don't have too many Tantos, and I don't mind the Tanto shape. I actually just ordered a Tanto today, the ProTech CQC7, the operator version, so I'm kind of excited to get that. That's going to be chisel ground. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about these. So first of all, this is the classic blade shape, drop point blade shape. It's a little bit different from the leaf blade shape on the Manix, which is more of a spear point. This is going to be, you know, it's going to have some of those curves on the edge here, but this is going to be a much straighter spine. And so what you end up with is sort of a drop point here with a leaf shape edge. And the reason that's important is because it allows for a consistent edge thickness all the way down, because you have a full taper of the spine. So that it starts with a full thickness spine right here, and it tapers all the way down to the end until it's a thin tip, right? And so because there's different lengths of tallness here all the way down, and you have more space for it to come down to a fine edge here and less space here, since you're tapering all the way down, you're going to end up with a consistent edge thickness all the way down for the most part. So really good design there. And by the way, we're not going to get into the ergos of the Paramilitary 2 or anything. This is not a review of the Paramilitary 2. This is more of a review of the blade shapes involved here, and Spyderco's interpretation of these shapes for the PM2. So anyway, this is going to be here. Let me see. I've got here's a 940. So just so you guys can get an idea of the stock thickness, and the difference between a full taper, and this is a swedge here, so it's a little bit misleading, but you can see here, right, this is a quick taper. It tapers from here to here, very short. Here you're tapering the entire way down, right? So that's really the difference there. You're going to notice, right, that same taper is going to be present on the Wharncliffe, although the tips are a little bit different. The tip here appears to be slightly thicker than the tip here, and it retains a little bit more thickness all the way through. I believe that's because a lot of the power is going to be concentrated on this portion to this portion here when you're cutting. And so they didn't want the same, you know, you're not going to be putting a ton of pressure from here to here on the regular drop point, but you'll be putting more pressure from here to here on the Wharncliffe just by virtue of how it cuts. And that's because as you cut down, it's going to continue to cut all the way through to the tip, whereas here it'll start glancing and curving as you draw through. So that's one of the major differences between what a Wharncliffe will do with a straight edge blade and the drop point. Here you have sort of a combination. You have the complete straight edge here, almost like a Wharncliffe, and you have, you know, a concentrated, you know, upswept here, a little bit of belly here essentially. It's not completely straight, it's actually a little bit curved. And you have two different grinds here. So where this is a full flat grind and this is a full flat grind, this is actually a swedge right here, a thicker middle. So this is thicker in the middle, kind of like, I think the Spyderco Canis had sort of something that was thicker in the middle as well. If I remember right anyway, this has a hollow grind right here. It is a shallow hollow grind, and then this is a flat grind right here. So if you don't know what a hollow grind is, a flat grind is a straight V, and a flat grind is a curve coming to a point. So it's like two curves coming to a point. And that's done, you know, you'll have a straight grinder for a flat grind, and you'll have sort of a wheel making the hollow grind. That's why the hollow grind is curved. Hollow grinds are generally thinner edges and sharper, but they can have thicker edges, which make it hard to cut. Here, I actually think the flat grind on both of these is thinner than the edge here, but I don't have calipers to measure it, and that's not really what I do on this channel anyway. All right, let's go ahead, and now that we understand some of the differences in blade shape here, and I'm not going to get into the different steels here because, frankly, the steels aren't going to make a huge difference for purchasing decisions for different blade shapes. Although I will say that, toughness, like something in M4 is going to be more important on something with, that you're going to use lateral pressure on. The other thing I'll mention is that the tip on here is going to be the most reinforced. And one other thing I forgot to mention here actually is that even though this is tapered all the way down, and this is tapered all the way down, that this one, the Tanto, is actually that quick taper. It just tapers from about here to here. So, and it's swedged all the way here with thick in the middle. So I think that's pretty cool that there's a different shape. But I think we're going to find, and we're going to try to confirm this with testing. I think we're going to find that in cardboard cutting, this is going to do very well. This is going to do slightly better. And then this is going to do the worst. I have a feeling because of the thickness of the center here that that's going to be the case. Not necessarily because of the thinness of the edge, but because of the thickness of the center. I also think that one of the reasons this will do better, that the Wharncliffe will do better, is because you're going to be able to consistently cut closer to the tip with the Wharncliffe, and you won't be able to do that as much here. And so even though you have consistent edge thickness most of the way through, usually it's a little bit thinner, as you get toward the tip. And so I think you're going to end up getting a little bit better performance out of here. You're also going to get more power toward the tip out of the Wharncliffe. All right, so first let's go ahead and try some thinner cardboard here. This is from the bottom of a drink case. You can see the can rings. So let's go ahead and try the regular PM2. And I'm cutting across the grain essentially. Okay. Whoop. Let's try doing the other side. Whoop, yeah. Okay. hard to tell which one's better out of these two. Okay, let's go ahead and try another piece of that with the Tanto here. I'm definitely feeling more drag with the Tanto here. Let's try cutting across everything. Yeah, I'm getting much more drag with the Tanto here. And let's see the, whoops, losing my grip here on this. Let's try another piece. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. It's hard to see this through the camera. Okay, so that's the thinner cardboard. Let's try the thicker cardboard. So far with the thinner cardboard, these two are very close, and this is a distant third. I would say that this one sort of powers through the blade better when it's right here, but as soon as it starts getting toward the tip, you get more power and more consistent cut with the Wharncliffe. Let's try going against the grain again. Let's try, well, I'll cut this. There we go. This is a thicker cardboard. All right. Okay. Yeah, this, in the thicker cardboard, this is having a lot of trouble. Yeah, that one's having a lot of trouble. So, again, let's go ahead and go through. Okay, I think that's enough cutting. I think I can declare a winner here. So I will say both of these, the regular PM2 and the Wharncliffe, are by far the winners. It's not even close. This is a very distant third as far as how slicey it works for, you know, general EDC tasks. Now I will say that this point here is good for, you know, if you're those do not puncture type of tasks where you're cutting into boxes. So this excels at that if you do a lot of that type of cutting. If you're doing, you know, stabbing tasks where you're putting a point in, this Tanto is going to excel, but otherwise it's going to be a distant third to these two. Now as far as cutting boxes and things, and I know I'm a little bit biased toward the Wharncliffe to begin with, but I'm going to go with the Wharncliffe here because the big difference is that this powers consistently through everything. You can feel as you start to go through some of these things where the power lets up a little bit with the drop point. It still powers through very well, but this just sort of has better follow through because there's just no let up. It just continually, you know, once it digs in that tip, bam, it just gets the rest of the way. And you know, especially when you're out by the tip here, you can really just cut through, and this is, you know, again against the grain cardboard here. And when you're going with the grain, it, you know, that, let me show you going with the grain. So the thing about going with the grain here is that you can use that end of the tip right there and sort of just carve into it, and it goes through it so well. You don't even need to use the whole end of the knife here. You can just use this tip area. So I just love this this blade shape for EDC tasks, and I think it follows through on the paramilitary series. That yes, the Wharncliffe in the paramilitary series is the best one for breaking down boxes. For and by the way, when I was breaking down full boxes with this and going, I would go down the corners of the boxes. That's what I usually do to make bigger panels. This was a much easier. It was a joy to use, even compared to this. So I sort of already knew a little bit from breaking down boxes just with this before I did straight up testing between these three. that this was going to be a beast, because it really, especially along those corners, it just excelled so well. And now as I go through against the grain and with the grain and sort of see some of the comparisons with these, it just makes it stand out in my mind even more that this is going to be an excellent blade shape. I'm kind of, shocked that that they allowed these exclusive blade shapes to these companies, because frankly, it limits what you can do with the blade shape. All the sprint runs and different things that you can do, they're exclusives now, right? So that's not just to go with Cutlery Shop, that's also with Blade HQ. These are exclusive blade shapes. So I don't think we're going to see that many runs of the Tanto, that many runs of the Wharncliffe. But when they do run them, especially the Wharncliffe, guys, snap it up. I mean, this is a great blade shape. It's not for everyone, but it takes tried and true, the Delica and Della Endura series Wharncliffes that they've been doing for a long time, and puts it on a compression lock. It puts it on the ever popular PM2 system, and it's a home run. Frankly, it's a home run. Now I'm just waiting for when they come out with a Wharncliffe Shaman. We'll see how that works out. I don't know if they'll ever do that, but I'd love to see one. In any event, drop a comment below. Let me know what you thought of these, or if you want to see different testing with these before I send this back to Mark. These are mine. This one and this one are mine, so I won't be sending these back, but this one I'll be sending back. So before I do, if you guys want to see any further testing with these or any different types of cuts, let me know. I'll be glad to post something. I don't see a whole lot of videos comparing these three, so let me know. If you found this video useful, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all my content. And until next time, guys, glad to see you on the channel.